What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's daily devotional with Trust in Jesus Ministries. Glad you're here. Glad you're listening, man. If you're enjoying this, man, go ahead and give me a subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. If you're watching on YouTube, or a like if you like the video, or share if you think it's beneficial. Yeah, we are going through the book of Genesis, man. I appreciate you guys for being here. Also, if you are listening to us on the podcast, go ahead and give us a review, man. It really helps out. All those things help out the channel, to push the channel out there so that people can be trusting in Jesus a little bit more, and then learn how to do daily devotionals. So I appreciate you guys again for listening, man. But we are on Genesis chapter 41, 47 through 57. We're coming to a close of this chapter. And so let's see what happens, man. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and read 47 through 57, chapter 41. Stop the tape and do that now. If you've already read, we're going to go ahead and jump into the 4 questions. So what is going on? What's happening in the narrative? What's going on in the story? Well, we see that Joseph has been appointed over all of everything. He has been made the ruler, second only to Pharaoh. Like, besides the throne, ain't nothing higher than Joseph. And it says that Joseph began to gather all the food up during the times of great abundance in the land. And so he just kept storing up this food for the 7 years. That was good, man. And they were great. Good times, man. Good times. But then obviously the bad times came. And it says that it was a great famine, but Egypt was okay because they had food. And then after some time, Egypt wasn't just okay. It says people started coming to Pharaoh and asking, man, what are we going to do? Like, what's up, man? It says they cried out to Pharaoh about what to do. And guess who Pharaoh turned their head to? And he said, go to Joseph, man. He did what he said when he said he gave him the second command, everything. No one can move a finger without him. Well, he told him, hey, go to Joseph and he'll tell you what to do. And so Joseph, when the famine started, he said he opened up them storehouses and began to sell the food, and people from the land were buying the food up, and they were eating all the food. It says that, and it continued to say that there was a great famine in the land. There was a great famine in the land because it was bad, one like they had never seen before. It was that bad. And it said that before this famine, though, occurred, that Joseph had some children. He had 2 children. One was Manasseh, that's his firstborn, and his second Ephraim. And these kids, man, like I said before in other episodes and in other Bible studies we've been going through, is that names mean something. That people name their children not just because they like the name, but usually because something has happened in their life. And this is no difference for Joseph. He names his first child Manasseh, and it is he names it Manasseh. It says because he has forgotten God. He said God has made him forget. Not he forgot God. Sorry about that word mix up. But God has caused him to forget his troubles and it says his family. And so I think one of the authors said that was like a Hinendeus, one of the authors of a book I've been reading. And a Hinendeus is like 2 things that mean the same thing. So when he's talking about his troubles and then he says the house of his father, then what he is saying is like the troubles of his problems with his brothers, throwing them into the pit, and everything that happened after that. He's like, God has caused him to forget the woes and the sorrows of the things that occurred between his brothers, and then the subsequent things that happen afterwards because of that event. And so he's just saying that God has preserved him and made him great despite all of the adversity he has gone to. God has preserved him. And then he named his second child Ephraim. And Ephraim, it means that God has caused him to be fruitful in the land of his suffering. And so he's just remembering 2 things, man. And I think this is important for us to get as well, is that he is blessing God for preserving him in the trouble and then also for blessing him. It's two aspects of God that he bestows on his children, and that's what he's done for Joseph, is that he has preserved him through his trials, and then he has blessed him. There's provision and there's blessing. So what is this saying about God? Well, we ended with what Joseph said about God. And so that's where I'm going to say is this, obviously this is talking about that God gives provision, that he helps in trouble, that God keeps his people during very difficult situations and times. James says it that we count it a blessing because it gives us wisdom. And Paul says that, that we rejoice in trials because that's when we feel the love of God being poured out by his Spirit. So he gives provision. He's a providing God. And second, man, is that he's a blessing God. That he gives. And that despite any trouble that we're in or any suffering that we're going through, that God still pours out his blessings. And Joseph saw them. And so that's who God is. But also he's trustworthy. That's the last one for today, is that he's trustworthy because the visions that he showed Joseph in those early days of him and his family bowing down before him as crops and as stars, it came to pass. I mean, he's over everybody. But also, it says that when that suffering came, or I'm sorry, when that I keep thinking of the Hebrew, but it's the famine. When the famine came, and it was just as Joseph had predicted. It was just as Joseph had predicted. But where did he get that prediction from? It came from the Spirit of God. And so we see that this God who gives, this God who provides, is also a trustworthy God because what he gives us as a message to speak comes to pass. It's truthful. It's trustworthy. It's faithful. What does this say about man? Well, I think it says that we should, be looking at the provision and the blessings that God gives, how he preserves us in trials and tribulations to come out to be more like him. And we see a progression of that as Joseph becomes more humble, but more bold in his faith with God, to trust in God. And then he is blessed with the blessings of children, with the status that he's been given, with the responsibility and the saving of people. I mean, that's a blessing in itself, just to be able to preserve life. But also that we should trust in these things. Trust in God because he's trustworthy. What he says he's going to do, he will do it. And so man should trust in God, all man, especially those in the faith. How can we apply these truths to our lives? Well, take a look at your life right now, and I don't want to cause you to dwell on the bad things that are going on, but how is God getting you through these things? How is God preserving you in the trial? But at the same time, think about, where is his blessings? Where is God revealing to you his power in one area or aspect of your life so that you can use that to help trust in him more in this other area of life that seems to be overcome by sadness or trauma? Where is God blessing you? Remind yourself of these things, of the things that God has done in the past, so that we can remember that he is faithful and trustworthy, that he is a giver, and that he is a preserver, that he is a blesser and a provider. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.